What's going on, everyone? Gormy here. Today, I'm going to be talking to you guys about set pieces, how to have the best set pieces possible, whether it be corners, free kicks, throw-ins, whatever it may be, attacking and defensively as well. We will be covering both sides of the ball. So if you guys happen to enjoy today's video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribing is 100% free, so I want to hit that sub button. Without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, so first I'm going to be covering the defensive side of corners. It can be a little bit tricky to try and get the best setup for defending corners because honestly, I've had a tough time against defending corners this year. And this is the setup that I usually use, but I'm going to be showing you guys and explaining to you guys the best possible setup for defending corners. Now, this is how I currently have it set up. As you guys can see, I have my left back and my right back on the posts. Then I've got my two center backs, my defensive midfielder here in this three. Then I got my two central mids and my attacking left midfielder here, my right midfielder here, and then my striker here. I base these two positions, the one on stay forward and the one on edge of area, off of pace. I prefer to have my two quickest players in these positions. Now, if your edge of area player can have a pretty solid ability to move the ball, that's great. And then the player up here on stay forward is just all out pace and some finishing. That is also nice. That is why I have it as my striker up here. And then my right winger, who is a pretty solid playmaker of the ball and has some pace to him as well. Now, with the three behind them, it all depends what type of tactic you're playing, what type of formation you're playing. I would prefer to have, say we're going with a 5-3-2. I would have one striker here on edge area, then one striker up here on stay forward, the quicker one being on stay forward. Then here for go back, all three of these positions, I would have the three central midfielders because majority of the time, your central midfielders are 6 foot and taller. There are smaller midfielders, so there really isn't much that you can do there, but know that these three on go back are going to be an aerial duel. So try and have a taller midfield. Then you would have your three center backs right here, or your three tallest players right here on the 6-yard box. So if you can have your three tallest players here, your next three tallest players here on go back, you are sitting pretty with two of your quickest players up top. Then what you would want to do, so a majority of the time people have their left back and their right back on the posts. I have kind of gone away from that more recently and thought actually executing it, I can't really go about the way that I want to do it because I have shorter wingbacks. I have a 5'11" and a 5'9", I believe. Now, ideally, I would say have it, if this suits your team, have a 6 foot player minimum on the far post and the near post. Have 6'2" minimum in the 6-yard box right here, defending here, aerial ability wise. Then on go back, minimum 6 foot once again, and then you have your shorter players up top, and those will most likely be your strikers, unless you have someone who's like 6'5" Ibra style that has some pace to them. So like an Erling Haaland type player. But you want to have 2, 3, 3. It can be set up like this, or on the left side, it's just flip-flopped. So it can be set up like this. You can have it flip-flopped. You can have 3 and then 3 immediately again, or have one offset. And then you have the two quicker players up here ready to go on a counter if the ball is one away in your possession. Now, when attacking from corners, there are a couple different ways that you can go about it. I like to have, if I am playing a system with wingback, so 5 in the back or 4 in the back, I like to have my wingbacks stay back and defend. Then I have a couple players attacking the edge of the box, and then I like to have at least 5 players within the box. Now, I have 2 different setups for my corners. This is the one that I like the most. Might be a little bit confusing because I have my taker swinging it in to the near post. But notice there's no one here at near post. I have one player on go forward and then one player at lurk near post. What happens is that the person on lurk near post right here and then the person on go forward right here, they end up both getting to the near post area. And either one can win the ball in an aerial duel. And if it doesn't get to them and say they head it towards goal, it can then hit the player that is lurking at the far post or at far post. The player marking the keeper is straight up just doing his job on marking the keeper. But that is kind of the outcomes that you get from a setup like this. Now, from a setup like this, where you have a couple more players in the box than I would normally have, it is just an absolute overload trying to get someone's head to the ball. Another thing that you can do is the come short method, where you have a player come short, you would pass it off to them, and then that player can either pass it out to the edge of the box or whip it in for a cross. Or even have the player come short, so it pulls a player to come mark them, and then you still whip that in to the box. There's one more player that has the ability to get open, being that one is being marked towards the corner taker. So keep that in mind if you want to try and open up a little bit more space, especially if you have the aerial ability and the strength to be able to pull off something like that. And if you are going the route of how I have it here on the right side, where you're doing the lurk near post and then go forward, and you're having this little gap here, make sure that you have two pretty solid aerial ability players. I would say probably heading minimum 14, same with jumping reach, and minimum 6'2". So, from free kicks, the standard direct free kick, this is how I suggest setting it up. You want two walls basically back to back. Now, you do have the one player up front going forward. If say it hits the wall, they can counter immediately, and you will have numbers having this amount of players in the wall. Now, if you are more comfortable having, say, 2 to 3 people on the wall, then have a couple more people back, and you have another wall behind the wall, and then another wall behind that wall, then feel free, go ahead, try and pull that off. So when it comes to the other types of free kicks to defend, you've got the small chance of shot, direct small chance of shot. You got the wide and the deep. You want to have your defense staggered because directly they are most likely going to go for goal. When it is either direct small chance of shot, indirect wide, indirect deep, they are going to try and get a header or try and set up a volley type goal. Now, this is what I like to do when defending for a direct small chance of shot. It is set up the exact same way on the left and the right. I like to have it a little bit staggered. So, yes, there's a little gap right here. That is because a majority of the time when they are swinging in a ball, as you can see with this arrow, if it is on this side, they're most likely going to have the ball going in over here. So I have 4 players right here and then these 3 right here for in case, like I was talking about with the corners, say you have a player heading the ball who is over here on the right side and they get the ball over to the left, you still have that ability to defend the ball coming over this way as well. Then when it comes to indirect wide, I have it a little bit more staggered and deeper because I want to protect the net more, because this I have found the indirect wide is a very lethal set piece. Whether it is happening against you or for you, you can either score or concede a lot of goals, and a lot of goals is not like 50 goals from it, it's like 10 to 12. So you definitely want to make sure that you are conceding as few amount of goals from an indirect wide set piece as possible, and this setup right here really works. And once again, just like defending the corners, you will have your 3 tallest here, your second 3 tallest right here, and then you will start to have your quicker, smaller players from edge of area to the form wall and stay forward, because those are the 4 players that are going to be able to counter the quickest. So indirect deep is kind of set up the same way as the small chance of shot. It's just one of the players from the wall is now moved back to go back. Now, this is when you kind of have a overload of players back on indirect deep because they have no other option other than to go for a cross in, try and get ahead to it, try and get a volley off, try and nick a goal that way because honestly, indirect deep, if your player goes for it, they're out of their mind. But if you have it set up like this, where you have your tallest players in the back, then you have your next two tallest players right here. And once again, this will vary for teams because not everyone has 6 foot and above players. I know that with my team, do not have that, unfortunately. But if you can set it up like so, make sure that you have your best aerial players in the back and overloaded where the ball most likely will go. So if you can have overloaded right here, because with this being swung in, majority of the time the ball is going to hit whoever's head is in this area. There will be about 2 to 3 players within this area where the penalty marker is, and that is where you want to have your best aerial ability players, your tallest players at within these walls for the indirect deep. Now, having the smaller players out wide, that is okay, because those are the players that will most likely nick the second chance off of these indirect free kicks, whether that is a volley or a second header. They are going to be able to deal with that because they will be able to be like, okay, I have a little bit more time to be able to react to this, so I should be okay aerial ability wise. There, I would say 5'10", 5'11" is the minimum for that really, really wide area on the wall for indirect deep free kicks. And once again, this is going to be set up just like the other ones, where it is the same on the right as it is the left. So this is definitely how you would want to set things up. Now, when it comes to throw-ins, I personally haven't really found anything in particular that works better than everything else. I just like having an overload back because, I mean, I haven't conceded. I think I've maybe conceded in total less than 20 goals this year from throw-ins. For sure. I think it's around there because I overload it in the back. You want it overloaded in the back so that if they're throwing it long, you have a bunch of numbers back. If they throw it short, then they try and cross it in, you already have everybody back. So it'll be really, really hard for them to score a goal from it. If they do score a goal, it's an absolute wonder goal from outside the box. An attack, though, this is how I like to set mine up personally. Now, early on, usually, especially last year's FM and this year's FM, throwing it long was absolutely overpowered, and a lot of people used and abused it. But then they put out that patch that really, really takes it away, makes it much more inconsistent to hit that all the time. This is how I like to set up my throw-ins, and that is throwing it short to a winger or a playmaker who has really good crossing ability. So you throw it short to the player that comes short, like I said, midfielder or winger, who has really, really good playmaking ability, crossing ability, and then they will then whip it in to the players that are here in the box. And you want your best aerial ability players within the box, and you once again want to have your wing backs or your smaller players back if you're playing a 3 in the back system, to where, all right, you have a little bit of cover if this backfires, but more often than not, you will get a chance from a throw-in like this. Like, I have scored plenty of goals from this. It's nothing absurd, but you can definitely make the best from chances like this with throw-ins. Now, if you are one of those players that like to do long throw-ins, all that you got to do, have your biggest players here within the box. You will then have one player back, and you are going to have, like I said, best players in the box, have someone work outside edge closer, have that person come short so that there is someone pulled off, and make sure that you are trying to hit the tallest players, being go forward position here, go forward position here, and the attack near post. So you would probably want one center back here, one center back here, and then if you have a tall striker or a tall midfielder, you would then put them right there, basically where the mark keeper position is. Now, for these set pieces, I will have a link in my Discord, which will be linked down below in the description, where you guys can download my elite set pieces that I have been using all year within FM22. I put little tweaks in there, here and there, every now and then I upload the newest version of them in there. So if you guys would like to download these set pieces that I personally use, definitely feel free to give it a go. But if you guys want to try and implement what I have brought to you guys today, definitely feel free to do that as well. Let me know how you guys get on with it with your set piece experiences. And if you guys have any tips and tricks for me or anyone else that may be watching the video, please feel free to put it down in the comments below. I'm sure everyone will appreciate it. But if you guys did happen to enjoy today's video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And subscribing is 100% free, so why not hit that sub button? And until next time, have a good one. Bye-bye.